Nice reunion, and some people came up to me earlier and they were like, oh, how does it feel to be playing like the hairiest character and then the most bald character? And I was like, well, it's the same makeup team, essentially. So.
MEGACON, what's up, y'all? That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy that this man deserves. I need y'all to make some noise for Mr. Nicholas Hoult!
Hello, everyone. How you all doing?
Yes.
I'm very happy to be here. It's good to see you all.
Oh,
like
we're
these
so
Superman
excited for you.
T-shirts too.
Love it, love it. Oh my goodness. So how has this weekend kicked off for you so far? Have you had a good time here at MEGACON?
It's been great so far. I've met lots of lovely people. This is pretty wild. I'm a bit scared being up here at the moment.
No. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I'm like, ooh.
No.
Yeah, lots of lovely people so far.
Absolutely.
And it's always just nice to meet people who are like passionate about the same stuff that I care about and enthusiastic about these stories and characters.
Of course.
So it's great. It's great.
Yes!
Yeah.
You guys are doing your job. That's what we're talking about. Okay, you gotta talk about it. This summer, you're picking up the mantle of one of the greatest comic book antagonists, tackling the role of Lex Luthor in James Gunn's Superman. Why, in your humble opinion, would you say that Lex Luthor has been right in his opinion about the threat of Superman? Why is he right?
Start with the easy ones. Why is he right?
Yeah, why is he right? What is the true threat? I mean, literally, if you think about it, like this Superman guy, he shows up and he's like, oh yeah, I'm all good, I'm sweet. You know, I wear my underwear on the outside. That's not weird. And Lex is looking at him like, there's something about this guy that's not right. Like there's something that is not true, it's not authentic. He's not using his powers for like human gain. Like what's up with that? That's weird to me. I think is that true for your impression of Lex?
I think there's an element of if someone has ultimate power,
right,
and the ability to do anything and be unstoppable, what happens when what they do doesn't align with everyone's belief of what is right?
Right.
And I think that, yeah, that's what I would say.
I like that. I think that's so important to kind of have the context. Because here's the thing. The best stories with an antagonist, not villain, but antagonist, is when the antagonist has a point. I think your role as Beast, there are times where Magneto might have seemed a little right. You know, some things that he said, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this summer we're going to see that Lex is going to say some things, and we're going to be like, what? Yeah, he's kind of right about that.
I think so. I think that's the thing. James is such a wonderful writer, and I think the way he's approached this story and world is very smart and fun, and it's complete. And the way he approaches every single one of these characters is unique and really fun. But yes.
Okay, I love it.
I have to be cautious what I say.
Yes, of course. No, we're here to protect you.
So I'm aware that there's so much that I want to say, but I'm also like, well, just don't give too much away. And then maybe after July 11th, we can all meet up again here.
Yes. We will talk about it all.
And we can break it all apart.
We will josh about it all. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I mean, to that end, we're going to live in this little, like, Superman-ish world for a little bit. For you, what was your first entrance to Superman as a character? Was it a comic book? Was it a movie? Was it a cartoon?
No, it was seeing Smallville.
Word!
Yeah. Smallville was on TV growing up and like around the house, and so I was like, oh, there's Smallville, and it was fantastic. And Michael does such a wonderful job as Lex, and I think he's here this weekend.
Yes, he is.
I've spent a little bit of time with him, and I appreciate what he did as that character a lot. So it's exciting to spend a bit of time with him. But yeah, it was Smallville, and that was the original, and then seeing some of the Christopher Reeve movies, which were just fantastic. And,
absolutely,
he's such a wonderful Superman, and even seeing that documentary about him recently, that was something that before we started filming, James and Peter Safran from DC got us an early screening of that documentary. Wow. So that was really powerful for all of us to see before we went into creating that movie, what it means, and seeing Christopher's story and his life and everything he stood for and his family. That was really special in terms of just the emotion of, and the depth of and the importance of what we were creating,
Love it.
The history of it.
No, that's beautiful. Make some noise for that, y'all. Truly. Now, we've got some fan-submitted questions I don't want to get into, but can I get geeky with you like one more time? Okay, so Hank McCoy is a very smart guy. Lex Luthor is a very smart guy. Which one, in your opinion, is smarter?
I think I can say this because I think James has said it. He's described Lex as also almost almost like a magician level of intelligence.
Okay,
And how
okay.
And the science level that he's working on.
Absolutely.
I think Lex.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
And but I also believe that's partly because he could potentially be, you know, where Hank would show caution, Lex wouldn't.
That's true. That's true.
So I think that's probably propels the pace that you move at and the things that you do faster. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I think that's a clean answer.
No, that's a great
Interestingly,
answer.
just to relate those characters together, interestingly, the makeup team who did Beast, a lot of them were doing the Lex makeup.
Seriously?
Yeah. So it was a nice reunion, and some people came up to me earlier and they were like, "Oh, how does it feel to be playing like the hairiest character and then the most bald character?" And I was like, "Well, it's the same makeup team essentially." So
It's like that's
fun.
how hardcore you guys were. I don't want hair anymore. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. Take it all off.
Yeah.
No, I love it. MEGACON has some of the best fans, and I think they're bringing out the best fans of yours. So they've submitted some great questions. Dylan W. from Orlando. Hopefully you're in the room, Dylan. If so, shout out, shout out. The question is, you've played everything from a zombie to a vampire to Beast in the X-Men. Which role required the most transformation, and how did you prepare for it?
They all require a lot of work. I think
Yes.
purely in terms of physicality, Nux in Mad Max required a lot.
That's awesome.
Because,
Awesome.
that was, thank you. That was because George Miller wanted him, you know, when you meet that character, he's meant to essentially be, you know, knocking on Valhalla's door essentially in his last day. Hence why he needs a blood bag and all those things. So George asked me to lose a lot of weight. So I think I lost like 20, 30 pounds
Good
for that.
grief.
So I wasn't
In how
eating
long? Like, how long did you have
I
to do that?
had a few months.
Okay.
So I had some time. But yeah, so that was difficult physically.
Yeah.
And each character's different mentally how you prepare. So it's really, if you've got a lot of time, it's lovely. For me as a fan, it's beautiful because I can go back and read a lot of comics. Like one of the first things I got sent after getting cast as Lex Luthor was the production. It was actually really sweet. The production company who made The Great, MRC, sent me the 75 Years of Lex book.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
has got all of like the comics that focus mainly on Lex and all of his history through the, you know, the bronze and silver and gold era of comics and all that. And so that was wonderful. Like it was very kind of them to share that with me. And then that was my homework and research for a couple of days, was just sitting reading comics, which is, and then more comics, and then more.
Goals, people, goals, okay?
Yeah.
I love that. No, that's absolutely brilliant. Sienna R. from Miami wants to know, if you could swap roles with any actor from The Great for one episode, who would it be and why? Any actor. Any actor.
Any actor. Interesting. You know who I really, there's so many great performances in that show, and I love all of the actors. But Doug, who plays Velementov.
Good call.
He's so funny to be in a scene with, because it wasn't in the script describing the character, but he added all these like belches and like heavy breathing and like things. And the first time doing a scene with him, we were all dying with hysterics because we didn't expect it, and it wasn't scripted, and he's suddenly doing all this stuff. And so I'd like to switch with him for a day. And wear his fat suit as well. He had
Get the muscle suit. We want the fat suit.
Yeah, he had a fake belly and stuff, and he was just great as that character.
That's awesome. Yeah. Would you do different belchy sounds? Would you try?
He did one that was really funny. That was like a burp, but then swallow it.
Oh, yummy.
So horrible,
Yummy.
but really funny.
So delicious. So delicious. Jordan T. from Tampa asks, you've been acting since you were a kid. What's the weirdest or funniest audition experience you've ever had?
Ooh. Weirdest or funniest? I've done some weird ones. There was one where like there wasn't a language for the character. You just had to like bark.
Okay. Wow. That's the audition?
Yeah, so there was like bits that you'd do in English, and then you'd have to pretend to talk to another character and bark. Like you understood, and then they'd like bark back, and you'd be like, oh, bark, and then carry on talking.
This was X-Men First Class. Like, I promise you, like this. It's like, no, you're gonna play this guy named Beast.
No,
you're like, oh, cool,
you know, X-Men First Class, the weird request for that audition was do one take as Stewie Griffin. That was from Matthew Vaughn. So I was like,
I was gonna say,
cold kills broccoli. So I was like doing like the Hank characters, but as Stewie Griffin. I don't know, that's some weird stuff. You get asked to do some weird stuff as an actor. When I was auditioning for The Favourite, Yorgos, the director of that, would have you like hum and dance and imagine and follow like imaginary beams of energy around the room and sculpt like all these like
that's fun.
Kind of games
Yeah.
to prevent you from acting, I guess, in some ways, and like focusing too much on the scene. And then the rehearsal period for that film was similar, where we spent 2 weeks with all the cast kind of, you know, dancing and playing games whilst doing scenes. It was really weird but fun.
Gabriel S. from St. Petersburg wants to know, in Mad Max Fury Road, you had such an intense, high-energy role. What was the wildest moment on set?
The wildest moment on set? I think the vivid memory that I always go back to is we'd turn up in the mornings in the middle of the Namibian desert, and all the vehicles would line up. Actually, no, this was weird, because also you'd be sat in like your trailer or whatever, getting ready, and then you'd walk out, and they'd have built like motorcycle ramps for dirt bike riders to practice doing jumps, like in the base camp. So you'd walk out and there'd be guys like flying 30, 40 foot through the air doing these jumps, like on like little dirt bike two-strokes. Just going, wow, and you'd be like, this is a weird place.
That's awesome.
Where am I? But seeing like the stunt team on that movie just did such incredible things. I remember at one point, probably the thing that I was like, oh, this is kind of wild, was there's a moment in the movie where I've gone to fix an engine, and then I'm like hanging underneath the war rig. And in my mind, I was like, oh, this is probably a stunt double, whatever. and then one day in rehearsals, they're like, okay, throw that helmet on. We're going to clip you to the bottom of the truck and drive along. You just let us know if you're happy, whatever. And I was like hanging, I don't know, like this far off the ground, right by they were like, don't move too far this way, because that's the front tire.
Wow!
And so you're hanging underneath this wall rig going along in the desert with all the snow, like the sand and dust getting kicked up. So that was kind of a wild place to be. I remember hanging there and being like, oof, weird day at work.
That's a... No, I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying, like...
I love doing all that stuff. But that's also what
wow.
makes the movie special, is you're in those environments really doing those things.
Of course.
So the energy that gives you in terms of a performance is like, it's right there.
That's fair. That's fair. This is why you're the actor and I'm just on stage. So Ava K from Fort Lauderdale wants to know, and obviously we're future tensing this one. If you could play any superhero or supervillain in the future, who would it be at the top of your list? Obviously, Lex for forever.
There's so much I want to do with Lex.
Yes.
I would hope that I get to play that character for a while.
No, clap for it. We want, yes. Yes.
Might have auditioned to play some other ones. Didn't work out.
I think overall it might have actually given us what we needed.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like. Also, I'm excited to see what Marvel do with the X-Men.
True.
Because I loved playing Beast, and I'd be open to playing that character again.
I love it.
In that format. So outside of that, I don't know.
Last of this group, we've got Eleanor M. from Austin, Texas, asking, what's the most unexpected or funniest thing a fan has ever said to you? I feel like Eleanor has said something strange to you and wants to know, does it matter? Do you remember me? Did I say the weirdest thing?
You know what? It's not a weird thing, but occasionally, like I remember I was at a lunch restaurant like not long ago, and I glanced over at another table, and the guy I looked at the guy and he was going, and he was giving me the V8 symbol, and at first I didn't clock it, and I was like, and then it took me a moment, and I was like, oh, he's seen Mad Max, he's a Mad Max fan, he's doing the V8 symbol, so I did it back, and I was like, oh, I get what this is going on here. So that wasn't weird. It was just like out of context.
Got you.
I didn't understand what was happening, and then I was like, "Oh, that's that signal."
I get it.
And now I get what's happening. So that wasn't that weird.
What would you have done if, like, you took too long and he looked at you and you're like, mediocre? And you're like,
I'd have been disappointed if he'd done that. Mediocre.
That's fair. That's very fair. When it comes to acting as a career choice, I mean, obviously this was something that started as a hobby for you, but you wanted to take this passion and make it your profession. What's something that you would tell any aspiring actor that they should consider moving forward?
It's interesting. I just saw a video the other day of Willem Dafoe being asked, and someone was like, "What advice would you give to somebody who wants to act?" And Willem was like, "I've got no advice." And I was like, "But you're Willem Dafoe."
I mean,
Come on,
it's
Will.
like you are acting. Like, what do you mean?
You know what? It's weird, but I think my advice is like, for me as an actor, I'm always trying to experience the most in life, because then I feel like if you just have experiences, you have things to base characters and stories on. So it's like as much as you can travel and explore and meet people and act and do things, I think that's it. It's just living as much as possible and acting as much as possible so that you kind of build up that base to...
Dude, that's awesome.
Like it's the practice of doing it, but it's also the practice of just living life and being aware and like understanding and being with people and observing and then being like, okay, this all makes sense. Reading lots of books, lots of books. Like I don't know, just find stories that motivate you and stuff, and be like, yeah, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
All of that. Yeah. Because it's weird also because then like it all kind of travels back where you go. Someone was asking me the other day about. I did this movie called The Order with Jude Law.
Yes.
Which I think I mentioned earlier.
Yes, you did.
Sorry, but the character in that is like kind of he believes that he's got this plan of how his life's going to end, and when I was learning about that character, I was like, oh, this reminds me of doing Mad Max with Nux, because he's already, intent on going to Valhalla. Exactly. So I read all these books about that. So I kind of, the knowledge I'd learned for that basically helped inform this character further down the road. So even though they're not related, there's always like webs? Kind of interweaving.
There's threads, they're all connected.
There's threads that are all connecting everything. So the more you read and learn and do, the more you have to put into any character going forward.
Dude, I love that. What I love the most about it is, though I asked about acting, I think that applies to anything that you do. Live life and find the story within the things that you experience. That's absolutely brilliant. MEGACON, join me in showing all the love and making some noise for Mr. Nicholas Hoult. Yes!
Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.